future. They deserve better, we demand better, but it's just not good enough right now. So I'm going to tell you 3 Texas-sized reasons why we're upset. What the fact? Joe?
Right, so according to the TEA from last year's reports, there are 5.4 million children enrolled in all of Texas, in Texas public schools. Of those 5.4 million, only 50% of them can read properly. That means there's 2.7 million kids that cannot read in Texas at this time.
So can you break that down a little bit for me?
Right, so if you can imagine filling up the AT&T Center 27 times and walking by each one of those stadiums thinking to yourself, man, each kid in here cannot read. That's how it is right now.
And how many fit in the AT&T Center?
Right, each AT&T, or the AT&T Center can hold 100,000 people.
Oh, wow.
27 times.
So in San Antonio, if we break it down into the local level, we have 475,000 kids enrolled in San Antonio public schools. Of that, only 261,000 of them cannot read. You know, that's kind of a big deal, right? And so what we have here in front of you is, again, like she said, a picture of our kids. So what we would like to ask you to do is, could you knock one of them over? Dolly, can you knock one of them over?
Oh.
Those were my kids.
So the two.
But they can't read.
Right, exactly. That's what we want to point out. This is what it's like right now in San Antonio.
That's terrible. What is 30%, Joe?
Right, so in Texas, we have a rating system like you guys do here. And so our schools are rated by A through F, right? So A is supposed to be the best, F is, you know, failing and it needs improvement, if you will. So even at an A-rated school, there are still 30 kids that cannot read.
So if you could just imagine, because I know I did, what does this mean for a B, a C, a D, and F school? So just imagine this is an A-rated school. And after reading these facts, I mean, I know what I want. Joe, do you know what you want?
Yep, I know what I want.
We want San Antonio to have the best schools in the world! We also know how to get there, and we believe we can achieve the best schools in the world
by empowering our community with the knowledge they need to demand a quality education. Right now, the way it stands, there's a lot of people who are mad. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to fight. They don't know where to fight. And you know, they're lost navigating the system. We want to be the roadmap for them to tell them this is where you need to go. This is where you need to shout. This is where you need to fight.
So I for sure know that I wish my parents had that knowledge of me or to support me growing up. I'm from Laredo, Texas. I have a family of 4, very small, very, very traditional family. And in my culture, my family has taught us that women and men have specific roles. We have gender roles. Their main focus for me as a woman was to learn how to cook by 7 years old, learn how to clean the home, and take care of my brother and my dad. And so that was the expectations. I had no educational expectations. They just were trying to follow the law. As long as you did good, you're all right. We never went. So I didn't realize the impact of this until I was in high school when I really wanted to go to college. I had a passion for graphic design and I wanted to do something with that. When I brought this up to my parents, they really didn't care, and so I decided to apply. I got accepted, but then I got rejected by my parents. They told me they would not support me. They gave me a dozen reasons why I shouldn't go, one of them being that I was a girl. So my story doesn't end there. I went, I graduated, first of my family to have a degree, and then I met my husband, and I never went back home, which that probably upset my mom a lot. I had 2 babies, they're right here, 10 and 8, but after my second baby, I became a parent of special needs son. And so my son can't walk, he can't talk, he doesn't eat, he has multiple disabilities, like very severe. But it doesn't mean that because he has all these physical disabilities that he can't learn. This is not a cognitive disability. And I've been fighting the system since he started school at 3 years old. I've been fighting the system to get him a better education, for them to understand how to help my son. I struggle with that every day, and they can't help me. I feel unsupported, and I'm here to stand for him. And not only for him, hundreds of families are going through this, and I'm here to help them. We're here today to hopefully have something for them to back on, to support them.
I wanted to say, it's very interesting in my opinion that even though our two paths are very different, they both led us here to this moment for us to be in front of you people. And so I want to go, again, my name is Joe Cantu. I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. I graduated from McCullum High School on the south side of town in Harlandale ISD. So when I was my educational journey was different. When I was in elementary, my house was surrounded by gang violence. My family members were being brought home daily. When I went into middle school, I then realized to myself that my mother couldn't support me. I had to move out, and I found a family member that would support me for a little bit. When I went into high school, he then told me, hey, I can't do it anymore. I have a family of my own. You need to find someplace else. So that's when I moved in with my grandfather, and that worked out for a little bit until I found myself couch surfing for 2 years. Not knowing where I was gonna have dinner, not knowing if I was gonna have a place to sleep, not knowing if I was gonna have clean clothes the next day. Now, fast forward to my senior year, when I was going to graduate, right? I finally found someplace. A friend of mine overheard my situation, and she said, "Hey, come move in with us." My parents said it's okay. Later on, that person became my wife, so I married her. That was awesome. It was great. And still, fast forwarding to, I'm going to graduate. I was ready. I was ready to graduate. I had my gown. I was excited for that day because not too many people made it in my family to that point. It's the next day that I was unprepared for. Not knowing what career I was going to choose, not knowing how I was going to bring about a family, not knowing if I even was going to have a family. And so going through that struggle and knowing that nobody has helped me at this point, I took myself out of there. I did my own research, and I found out what my career was going to be. And so now, fast forward, I now have 2 kids of my own. And I don't want them, or any child in San Antonio, to go through that same issue. And that's why I'm here today.
So now, knowing our personal story, we want to share with you some of the values that are ground us on this work.
Right, so we want to make sure that we use the data that we collect from all over San Antonio to make sure that we're holding schools accountable and that they're transparent with the community.
Simple and true, guys. So over the course of 3 weeks, we went all over San Antonio to canvass to find parents and see what the needs were there. And we found a lot. So we definitely met over 400 parents. We collected over 450 signatures from our parents that they're all willing to hold their school accountable for what's going on in our city.
Now, when we're having these meetings, what are we looking for?
So we're definitely looking for those powerful standout parents, and there's a lot of them. And we decided to narrow it down to 3. We want to talk to you about them just because they impacted us so much. Our first one is Jacqueline, and then there's Teresa and Shelly. So Jacqueline was the first person I knocked on her door, and she was excited to see me. She walked me into her house and showed me her poster, her trilingual poster that she was showing her children. She didn't have technology in her home. She believed that reading was a key, but she had so many issues on curriculum. They were showing their kids the history, the real history. I mean, she had a ton of issues to the point where her child was going to pre-K. Her teacher called her the second day to tell her that she didn't know how to deal with her son. So she decided to take him out, and now she homeschools them. The next person is Teresa. Teresa's a firecracker. I met her through a special needs forum, and Teresa met me up at a meeting and wanted to talk about what's going on. She has been there. She's asked for support. Her son was broken. His arm was broken as a teacher was restraining him because he had autism. And so she's been fighting the system for 17 years. I believe her son is turning 18. And she's been a pioneer, but alone. And when she saw us and found us, she was grateful, and she's been in contact with us every day.
This last person that you see here, her name is Shelly. Now Shelly is a grandmother that adopted her grandson, and he has high functioning autism. So now he's coming to the end of his educational career in the public school, and he wants to go to college. But because of his high functioning autism, they won't let him enroll in AP classes. They won't let him enroll in dual credit classes. And so she has been fighting for that, and through her determination and her willpower, she has got him enrolled into those courses. And because of that, Zach is now looking at pursuing a degree in political science, so that way he can change those laws, so that way they can get an education themselves. Now here we are at our goals. This is what we're looking to achieve within the first year. So we want to have 5,000 parents in a database, so that way we can contact them regularly, keep them up to date about the educational and political climate that's here in San Antonio, to give them opportunities to, reach out to us and fight, right? We also want to have 100 powerful parents, and those powerful parents is like we talked about 3 of them before. We want them to be able to go out and hold schools accountable with the data that we're collecting, okay? We also want to have 1,000 followers on a social media platform of some kind. The platform that we're looking at pursuing at this time is Twitter. We also want to have at least one campaign or policy win. For us, right now, that could look something like maybe having all the schools put their rating outside. Like you see schools, they have state recognized school. Well, they should have their rating out there too, like if they're A, F, D, whatever it is, that's what we want to make sure that they're transparent with the community.
How are we going to achieve these goals, Joe?
Right, so we want to make sure that we're collecting data from all over the city to make sure we're staying focused on the important issues.
We want to host citywide meetings to gain interest and momentum in the movement.
We also want to be able to mobilize our strong parent support, so that way we can show that, hey, we're tired and we need to fight.
We want to have a strong fellowship, just like the one you have here, to definitely establish the knowledge and to help them have a voice to make that difference.
We also want to be meeting with our elected officials, so that way we can see where we have allies and make sure we're on the same footing with them.
We also want to staff specific people that will energize this movement to push it forward. And so as we wrap it up, I really want to say that we have contacted all these people and they provided us with these awesome pictures of their kids. And I want to say that the movement is here. The time is now. Will you join us? Yes!